Good morning everybody. Today's vlog brings me pretty much to where I live. Had a bit of an issue with the car. It's failed its MOT. Rachel's working for the weekend, so I thought I'd stay local to home, show you the area I grew up, where I went to school, etc. Something a little bit different, a little bit maybe quirky. Some of the stories I might think of as we're going along, as I can tell you guys. Hope you're all keeping well anyway. The sun's about. I've got the MD filter on the Canon G7X Mark II, so it's not going to be in 4K like it would be if I was on the phone. But yeah, let's do this. Okay, the estate I live in is called the Lakes Estate, which is in Bletchley, Milton Keynes. MK2 is a postal district. They have over the years named it as Drayton Manor. It's to try and sort of G it up a bit, because it's sort of fallen on sad times and it's become old and it's feeling a bit sorry for itself. To the right is the street where I live. I'm going to show you the houses. Fallen down tree over there. And this school field here, this is now called Drayton Park. The school the other side of that. It was, when I was growing up, it was called Lakes Junior and Lakes Infant School. Lad I went to school with, he was Craig Goss. We had a t-shirt competition, and he won the competition for the right to have everyone wearing a t-shirt, and the t-shirt used to say, "Lakes Middle School makes me happy." I bet there's none of them around nowadays, because it must be a good, it's over 40 years easily. I remember sitting in that field for the Jubilee, the Queen's Jubilee, Silver Jubilee, which would have been 1977. That just shows you how long we've been about in this area. This is the old infant school, the entrance. My first day at school, what would it be? Would have been mid-70s. I thought school was over. I come home at lunchtime, thought, well, that's it for the day. But my mum took me back up there again. These were my first classrooms growing up. I remember you would start off after assembly, you'd get these little tiny bottles of milk, glass little bottles of milk with a straw in it, silver top. We all used to drink them. I think it was Thatcher era ruled that out. Over here there used to be, I believe it was 4 sort of porter cabins that were classrooms over the back there. A period of time that I was there, they actually split the classes, so you would have a year above you in the same class that we was in. Some of the teachers' name Mr. Schramm, I remember him. PE teacher, he took me to my first ever football matches. Unfortunately he was a Luton Town fan, so didn't get on too well. There you go. Another entrance to the infant school. Back in the day, the headmistress was a woman called Mrs. Sims, I believe her name was. Lovely old lady. Had a black bobbed haircut. You'd sort of turn around and say she was strict. She was lovely, very approachable, but you got on the wrong side of her, as I know a few people did. It was, if you was bad mouthing, it was soap in the mouth. Or an even worse situation like that, the old skirt was hitched up and over her knee you would go. Moving on from the infant school, you had the junior school. This is now called Drayton Park School, but when I was there it was Lakes. Down here in the corner, that was my classroom. That was an assembly hall, sports hall, etc. I think the cafeteria canteen was that side as well. Little small toilets in that area there. The teachers there, when I first started, the head teacher was called Mr. Dunn, I believe. My actual form tutor was called Mr. Gay. He became the head teacher when Mr. Dunn unfortunately passed away. It was probably during the time that I was there. Here we go. School when I actually loved school. Never missed a day here, absolutely loved it. That there is my old classroom. Going back from possibly 81 to 84, something like that. You had like little, I think it was bakery section. I know there was we used to do home economics. Well, when you're a youngster, it's pretty much just going and make cakes, etc. Or we done a fry up one day. But yeah, they were good times. There's about 4 or 5 classrooms this side, the same the other side, upstairs. We were just getting into the stage where it was learning languages. I suppose it was for everyone then, it was French, which everybody hated as well. I believe one of these classrooms here, at the time, it was, if you were struggling, I used to struggle with my handwriting, and I used to have a handwriting session in there once a week. You used to have a pad and used to do your alphabet, etc. But yeah, a long time ago. It brings back memories, fond memories. And the strange thing is, I've not been around here for decades, yet I only live the other side of it. I suppose I've got no need to. I dare say this isn't what it was. I can see it isn't now. That was a changing room. This area here used to be football, playing football with a tennis ball, wouldn't you? But this is now a car park, but that was a swimming pool. Tiny little swimming pool filled this area. It was good to start off and get you to learn to swim, but then after that you needed something bigger. So I think we used to go to, is it Cosgrove or Stockgrove Park School. Had a big diving board, and everyone used to get their badges for swimming a mile, etc. Or just learning to swim in general. Good times. Before moving on to the next school, which was the last school I went to, which is Leon, which is just over there. You can see the edges of it there. People live in this area remember these houses here. I can't remember. One of these ones here would have been Jill's. Back in the early 80s, mid 80s, etc. We had them with VCRs. We had Betamax, we also had a VHS, but you'd go there, there's a video club, there's a little suite room, and yeah, everyone used to rent out the videos from there. This is before your time, your Blockbusters, etc. Right here used to be an enormous, I think it was like a radio station pole, aerial, went up for good, maybe 100 feet. Had a fence around it that's long gone. This place has certainly seen better times. It's nothing to do with the people that live here. It's just the way it was built. It's so hard to keep clean because look at the height of the places, and it's just fallen into disrepair over the years. Families probably will eventually in a couple of years time be moved on to somewhere else while they knock all this down and try and regenerate. But you look, how old are them benches? What was missing is probably a park area around here that would have got people around here, and if kids are playing they probably would have kept the place clean. But yeah, even the shops up here, most of them are, well, I think pretty much 99.9% of them are gone. Long gone have been the walkways. You'd have walkways going between these. They just become a haven of people that would misbehave, mostly kids messing about. Okay, from memory then, let's see what I do remember. That was a fish and chip shop come Chinese takeaway. I cannot believe whether it, well, I can't remember whether it was Young's, Yong's or Wong's or something like that possibly. Next to there, that would have been Cooper's. Stephen Cooper was in one of my classes at school. That was a greengrocer's. Next to there was Turney's. That was a fantastic bakery. Now you know you get the baker's dozen, etc. Back in the day, if you was hanging around in the early hours of the morning, knock on the door at the back there, and the ones that didn't quite make the grade, the offcuts, you could go out there and they'd hand them to you quite happily. Next to that, this little area here, Jack hairdressers. He's still going strong with his son Fiaz. They're now in Bletchley. Next to that, that was J&M Shine. That was a bookmaker's. Pete Shine I used to race motocross with. That was his uncle's place. Best one years ago, that was Bunce's. In the time, it was a fantastic sweet shop. You had all your you're going for a quarter of something, whether it be a quarter of wine gums, etc. in mint imperials, they would all be down the side here. Jardines, I can't remember whether that was something else before in the time, but Yeah, Betty, my old next door neighbour, she worked there for decades. Next to that was a laundrette and a post office. This used to be Budgeons years ago, and up there was a stairwell. That stairwell's long gone since I was around here. They knocked that down. We used to play knockdown ginger, 60-60 all out. All this area, the stairway down there, and it used to come down at an angle there as well. We all used to mess around. We used to get cardboard from there and do like tobogganing down the local hills in the area, so like you see hills at a distance in the park there. Just go around there. Over here, now this was predominantly overspill for London, the Lakes Estate, when it first started. Me mum come down with me dad, my sister and myself. Oh, I was carried in my mum's womb. They come down here from Brixton, and this was all London overspill, and depicted by that was the two pubs. Here you had the Bow Bells. That was at the time run by a 70s 80s wrestler by the name of Johnny Kincaid. He left this premises and he went on to own the Bletchley Arms, which is now the Weatherspoons in Bletchley. He used to carry a little a little 22 revolver under his arm in a little holster. Just the thing you could do then, firearm certificates were about. The other side of this, which we'll look at now, I said, you've got the Warren over there. That dinosaur that you see sitting there, that is the dinosaur that used to be at the bottom of Leon School donkeys years ago. Yeah, this place is very much gone. I mean, it's a Saturday, nothing here anymore, all gone. All derelict. Well, not derelict, but it probably will be at some point. Right, this is the other pub. You either frequented one or the other. This is the London Pride. As I said, it's still got the London vibes of it with the overspill, etc. That was more of what you would feel like if you was on holiday and they'd have a club area. It felt like that in there. Whereas the other one, the Bow Bells, was very much like the Queen Vic and EastEnders. Here was your off licence. Funny story, back in the day we didn't so much have the likes of Coca-Cola, etc. That was a luxury. We used to have Dela Cola. Now what you could do, you'd get the glass bottles and you could return them to there for 9p a bottle. Now behind the shelf you would have packets of KP nuts or Walker's crisps. At the time they were like either 9p or 12p a packet, so you bottle for 9p, trade it in, you got yourself a bag of nuts. So here was the back entrance to it, and the funny thing about it is they would leave that door open some point and you could see all the bottles in the crates. What someone would do, someone would come in, open the door, would steal all the bottles again, come back a couple of days later and trade that in and get more money for the bottles. I know, a bit of a rogue. Many people love these places, local hangouts. Okay, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a walk. Yep, there's going to be one heck of a walk up the top there. Here we go. I am out of breath, seriously. That is my old secondary school. It's called Sir Herbert Leon. Back in the day, it was just called Leon School. See the area over there used to be the clay pits that used to have 6 chimneys, great big huge chimney stacks from London brick. So you can see in the distance, that sort of thing. God, I'm knackered. Yeah, that wasn't kind to me, that school. I think it was kind to anyone of my era. I'll explain a bit more why in a minute. But yeah, luckily I had the trade entrance so I could push the buttons and get up here, but that is a long way to walk up some steps. Still, families reside here for the time being. Hopefully they find them somewhere a lot better. It's like something out of a horror movie. Take the cap off. I believe it was Danny, I can't remember for sure, but rest in peace. Young lad, still while I was at school. suffering from bullying. Hung himself on that spot. So sad. Yeah, this place is kind of beyond repair now. I guess that's just become an urbex type place before it gets demolished. I do feel for the families. Some of them would have lived it for decades. They don't deserve to live in places like this. Now at the back entrance of the shops, this used to be a walled car park up the top there, but below us there was an underground car park which was accessible by a door that was down here that's long been bricked up, and the garages through there. Some people kept their cars in it, but it was predominantly full of garages full of stolen radios, stolen cars, wheels, etc. And we're talking back in the 80s. This has been chained up for decades, but great for when you're a youngster playing games. This is my old secondary school. Said to many, my generation would just be known as Leon Secondary. It's now Sir Herbert Leon. Basically someone comes in, academy so-called, failing school, someone comes in and takes it over. But yet again, the era I was here, things were happening. My generation, I think it was around the 87 mark, I was due to leave school. We had O levels back in the day. The following year that was to be replaced by the new, well now it's decades old, but the GCSEs. So they just pretty much wanted to push us through, get on with it so they could learn the new procedures for the GCSEs, and that was the teachers I would turn around and say. So we were like a forgotten generation, the last of the generation of the O levels, and because of that it felt to a lot of us that there was a simple lack of caring. Had some great times there. That was the old library. I don't know if it's a library now, but I used to spend quite a good afternoon in there messing around with the books. My classroom, or one of my classrooms, would have been along this side. Our year, I think all years are different, but we was seen as rivers. Every class had a river name. I started in Humber, and as you went up, it was each year we started off in 2 Humber, I think it was, then it would become 3 Humber. We didn't last a year. They dismantled our class after a year because I think it was Fuchs, I think it might be Mr. Fuchs, I'm not sure. Our form tutor became the head tutor, so our class was dismantled and we were all separated into different classrooms. I ended up in Irwell, which was okay because my best mate was in there. A lot of our friends, you found that when you was growing up, people local to you would end up in the same class. So I started off with one of my mates, Alan McDonald. He was in Humber with me, so were a lot of the girls local to the streets around us and a couple of guys. We got separated and I ended up in Mark's class, and yeah, this was it. I'm sure there was extra classrooms along this area, pretty sure of it, but I said it's decades ago. Water, heat and health service, still actually my GPs now. Live in the area, they've been about since the year dot. You go in there, get yourself a doctor's appointment. Used to be a dentist in there as well. I don't know whether there still is or not. Changed over the years. My GP at the time, Dr. Raja, he used to grab hold of your cheek, pull your cheek around. It was to test to see if you had anemia. At the time I just thought, okay, what the hell are you playing at? But now I understand it. Then I was young. I had him and the police surgeon, which was Dr. Carrier. They were our two family doctors. I think one's still a locum, everyone's retired, possibly not even with us still. We're talking decades, so make of that if what you will. Over there behind me, I'm not going to have a look at that. That wasn't my school, that was Waterhall School. I know you had Bishop Parker the other side of the bridge where we live. That is a Catholic school. I think that's just a same run-of-the-mill school like here. But yeah, we used to beat them at all sorts of sports. Not their claim to fame being any good at anything really. Okay, just for the locals of the lakes, I will show the outside of Waterhall. It's nothing like it was. This is all new over the recent decades, but yeah, the school has more porta cabins, if I remember rightly. A lot smaller than what it is now. They've obviously built it up, and the fields used to go on for, well, maybe a good mile afterwards, but since then they built a housing estate decades ago and shortened it. I found my way in to a special location. I suppose it's special in a way. Just off of Sheeling Grove behind me. This is Lowman Drive, running parallel with it, and the dual carriageway, which wasn't there at the time. But where I am now is our old hideout. This area here, behind me, in front of me, etc., goes on for a good maybe 2 miles. This is where we would bunk off school. Yeah, it started off, everyone had lessons they hated, so you'd skip a lesson. That become more frequent, you'd skip 2 or 3 lessons. Then you'd think, sod it, I don't want to go to school today. You'd have a day off school. At some point you would go in, you would get the register read out to say that you was there. But I mean, they're not stupid, they must have worked it out. We were kids, we didn't know what we was doing, but you'd say you was there. 9 times out of 10 when they used to read out the register, I would get kicked out of class straight away, because they would say, here sir, here miss, whatever, get to me, say out my name, and I'd say, what? They'd go, right, out, and that was me. Either in detention or just generally not causing trouble, just trying to be smart, I guess, as kids do. We were sort of in-betweeners. We weren't neither popular, not the, everyone was at a generation where everyone was wearing Capri jackets, Benetton rugby shirts, kicker boots, etc. And you was either in with the in with the in crowd, or not so much an outsider, but yeah, the in-betweeners. That's probably why they made the TV series, because there were so many people like us of that generation. Yeah, anyhow, it would go from being a lesson to a couple of lessons to a day, and that day ended up becoming a week or a couple of weeks. I think nearly enough a month I didn't bother going to school. Hated it. Felt there was nothing I could learn there. So pretty much after that, went back. They told me I could leave if I wanted to. I found myself employment. My father was in the trade as being a reprographics operator, a printer. So I went into reprographics and actually went to college, studied reprographics, got a sitting guild in reprographics, went into the LIFO industry, then went into the point of sale silkscreen industry, and that sort of kind of died a death when the digital age moved in. But good times while it lasted. But anyhow, this here was our hide. I haven't been here for best part of 3.5 decades. Not really changed. Just overgrown thicket really at the edge of the estate. People probably just still walk their dogs up here maybe. The road goes by either side. People probably don't even give it a second thought, but this is part of my history. Part of a few lads' history who used to mess around around here. Was it good times? Yeah, of course it was. Okay guys, I think we'll call it quits for this vlog. Hope you've enjoyed it. As I said, this is my history, it's where I grew up, it's where I still live. It's been 5 decades of living here. There's a heck of a lot of history for myself, and a lot of locals around here who I would have grown up with, still know, still in contact with. Yeah, it was just something I wanted to do, a little bit different. Can't go to London every single week, it's just too expensive, especially when we've just had an MOT failure on one of the cars, and that's cost us, or going to cost us between £500 and £700. So yeah, I think for a small period of time I'll probably do some local stuff. I can still make it enjoyable, I can still get some content out of it. I'm sure some of you guys will find this interesting, some in other countries of the world, maybe you've got similar stories. Feel free to get on YouTube yourself and show yours. I might have a good look at that myself. Yeah, from here I am going to go traverse across the road over there, work my way along the canal and try and find a lock that's got a canal boat going through. That'll be the next vlog, and hopefully that'll be interesting too. Anyhow guys, have a fantastic rest of your weekend, be safe, and I will catch you in the movies. See you again later.